Hello, hello, Kalu Kalay. My name is Notepad, and on and I write games for fun. I don't know what's been going on for the past couple days, but my throat's been all fuckered up. I think it's, I think I pulled something somewhere. Doesn't hurt. I'm not dying of something. It's just that, it feels a little funky goofy. If I don't speak, it feels better. So if I'm a little quiet today, understand that. So, hello everyone. What's the game plan today? There isn't one. There's no game plan. There is nothing. Nothing is organized. Nothing. We are kind of just gonna. We're improvising, as the kids would say. And by improvising, we are just gonna kind of wing it. You may be wondering, but why, Notepad? Why are we winging it? Because I don't really know what to do. I'm in kind of a weird situation where we've done a lot of things, and I want to kind of get myself back on the schedule I already kind of had pre-planned. Like the legally distinct Arknights TM game is, we've got something. There is something clearly here. There is something clearly that we can work with. These are all actionable mechanics that I need to send the commissioner. I legitimately was just waiting for the commissioner to give me his email properly, just to make sure we know we're on the right wavelength. But generally speaking, like, yeah, I feel pretty good about this. It's a little weird, but I'm probably going to mate. I am right here. Yeah, exactly. I literally sent you a Discord DM. I was like, hey, what's your exact email? I just want to make sure. I don't like looking at Patreon ones because you might use a separate email for different things. I just want to make sure everything's on the copacetic. But yeah. Like, the thing is, the most basic premise is fine. We have our action split. We have combat, auto hits, everything here. Weapons generating a number of possible hits is probably going to be our best bet when it comes to slow, mid, and fast weapons. Bingo. Weapon determines area range. This seems feasible. We could do this. It seems easy enough to understand. This, I'm still a little bit hectic about. There is an answer here. I've been trying to figure it. But since we're using cards over here, we can use cards here for triggered abilities and dodge actions. Oh, there we go. Bingo. But yeah, no, it's... If we're using the concept of... if we have the cards introduced already, we can use the cards to do things. And, like, cool, we can use these in combat now to trigger things like dodging and ability checks. You know, abilities that would normally require use the operator skill button, click. We just have cards for that. We play a card or we burn a card of the appropriate type. Bingo, bango, bungo. Now, you also have things kind of down here, which this is the current way of doing things. Simultaneous turns are kind of a meme at this point. We're trying to find the right way of doing it. It's not the right way, and there's not a good way. Effectively, the GM is going to plan it out, the PCs are going to plan, the GM is going to move. It's effectively the PCs have an option to have the phase right before the GM starts moving, to start kind of moving themselves around, if that makes sense. You have a free move phase or a preparation phase or something phase that isn't directly acting, which moves into the GM automatically react doing all the actions that they have pre-planned effectively, and then the PCs act. Now, the idea here is that the GM is then going to record attacks. So it's kind of one of those situations where you have a bunch of gribblers on you, but you, the dumbass, are going to be able to smack the gribblers first before they get to hit you. The problem is there's usually like, 90 billion of them, and you are one person. The thing is, if the players are smart, they are going to control the flow. They are going to be the ones controlling the flow of action, and they're going to be the ones controlling, okay, where are we fighting the enemy? How are we fighting the enemy? How many times do we have it here? The worst possible state of being the PCs can be in is right here. We're being overwhelmed. There's too many of them. We need to start pulling back, and you start thinking less planning and more reacting. It's more desperate plans. You start playing damage control. And if we and the second you start playing damage control, why is Church a faction? Because I was just thinking of churches of like, yeah, the church is here, so why not put church there? Of who would be joining our desperate. These are more like backgrounds. These aren't set in stone. To give you an idea, I've been engaging in Arknight's lore the best I can, but I am, well, I'm not very good at it. Finding, like, all of the information is a little bit complicated, because anytime you... The weird thing is, like, anytime you're like, okay, I want Arknight's lore now, like, I want to find the entire history of Arknights or something. Oh, Jesus, my mouth. It's stroke hours, everybody. Let me fix my keyboard. Let me fix my keyboard. It takes 5 seconds to do. I literally just need to... I've talked about this before. I just have to uninstall my keyboard. Keyboards, technically, because it's weird that way. But, like, I want Arknight's lore. I'm like, cool. And it's like, explain, like, 4 years ago, I'm like, okay, things have obviously probably changed. Versus, like, here's the story. Like, here's the main theme stories. I'm like, oh, that's a lie. Is this what we're supposed to be looking at? Maybe? Are they? I'm literally just kind of getting vaguely confused of what I need to, like, look at, if anything. That's why I'm like, okay, maybe there's a better way of looking at it, and I get distracted watching The Rookie on YouTube Shorts. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking of, like, what would the backgrounds look like, roughly? If we go with our 4 basic skills here, these would be your initial deck. I'm thinking about an initial deck of 12 cards, if you really think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 12 isn't too much. And with 4 players, and this is the big thing, with 4 players, you would also be able to get, hopefully, if everyone plays according to plan, you can use a single deck of cards for this. That would be the goal. And special skills would legitimately... Anytime you use a special skill, it would be of, like, a face card. That's all that you should be able to use just a flat deck of cards. That would be my goal. You might need 2, depending on if people are playing certain ways. But that's what I was kind of thinking, like, there were just some backgrounds for the operators to kind of work with. I'm like, okay, Rhodes Island's kind of like you're very overall, you're decent at everything, but not perfect. PMC is really good at one thing, but kind of lacking 2 others. Vagabonds are kind of dog shit, except at one thing. And the church is absolutely hopeless at 1. Yeah, like the church is absolutely, or the one faction, I don't know how I want to do it yet, but one faction is effectively hopeless at doing something. They are not very good at doing their actual... Yeah, because all these 12, 5, 4, 7, 12. Okay. Like, it's like, oh, hey, this is a guy from this particular group. Like, you kind of suck at everything except your 2 things you're good at. Well, everyone, like, and you are outright impossible for you to do something else. You are outright impossible for you to do anything skill related. And you kind of like, effectively, it's your... We need to fix something. Don't rely on him. He physically cannot. Like... And it's like, okay, yeah, that would be kind of the idea. Like, you have one guy who's just terrible at it. There's the Laterano Christianity, and then there's the Church of the Deep, which is the Cthulhu land. Oh, yeah, we're not going to think about that very hard right this second. But yeah, there's kind of the idea of, like, there are effectively, these would be our stat spreads. I'm thinking 12 cards and maybe like a critical card, like you start with them, so you have 13 exactly. That's what I would probably end up doing, your character knacks. So you'd have 13 cards to begin with that you can freshly play whenever things go wrong. Our basic adventure phase. Is it easy? You effectively, if it's easy, you're going to be drawing half your hand. You have half your deck. If you have one card in there that is something you need, that's a 1 in 13 chance, or a 1 in 12 chance. It doesn't seem very likely, but it's, you know, you don't get a huge chance of drawing that exact card you need out. As your hand gets bigger, you're going to get more specific cards more likely. It's getting 6 force cards, 7 force cards, 8 force cards. It's just hand manipulation. Honestly, I might like even drop this down to like 4-3-2 even, just to make it all the more like, ow, like there's a very low chance if you are not, if you're part of like the church. I'm using the church, you know, kind of as a very broad statement, which is if you're part of these guys, like you have a very low chance of, like you have a good chance of drawing what you need if you need it, but not when you, kind of thing. Let's see. Do we have anything else really working with? Still haven't quite decided what I want to do with cutting it inside. Like, there's a few different ways of doing this. This is the thing. There's a few different ways of... Oh, God. There's a few different ways of handling the 4th stat. Valors are willpower. I need to convince someone to do something. I can roll Valor. Strength Force is your strength. It's the, hey, I need to shoulder bash a door down. Force. I need to fix a car. Skill. There's 2 angles we can go with the 4th. There's option A, which is cunning, which is the idea of being more on your toes smart. If that makes sense, like you're on your toes being smart about it, or insight, which is more scholar knowledge. Like, this is something I know versus like, hey, I think I know how we can get around this situation. Both are very different in the way they approach things. It's about how and why they approach these things. That's kind of the, the shoulders have been locking up more recently. Very fun. Fun. There's that kind of idea. Like, both of them are very valid in their approach. It's just dictating how. Let's see. Again, we got this. As of right now, I think sticking with this should work. Like, the GM is always going to have the GM has the advantage of setting the field. The PCs have the plan of always have the action of knowing when to react. I think that's a good idea. I think that's the right option. I don't really know. Like, I would have to write it out and see how I feel about it. But yeah, everything else should work pretty well. Getting all the stats for the characters in place, those are already kind of written out, and it's just mostly would be dealing with all the classes. Because if you look at the classes in Ark, for example, we just look at the basic classes here. At the end of the day, we've got casters, vendors, guards, medic, sniper, specialists, supporters, and vanguards. Those are the basic idea, which can really be broken down into, I blast you with magic damage, I can block multiple enemies, I am bashing your skull in, healing you, I'm peppering you, I do some bullshit super technique dumb shit, I do something in the middle, I'm going to be very average. Oh, when the fuck did you guys show up here? Reserve operators. Oh, gee. But yeah, so basic premise. Now, after a certain point, after you effectively become a 4-star, quote unquote, you're gonna end up taking your branch. It's like, hey, as a sniper, you are a marksman. As a sniper, you are an artillery, deadeye, heavy shooter, spread shooter, besieger, flinker, hunter. It's kind of like, we've introduced the class, now you get to now focus. This is your subclass, effectively. I'm hoping that'll give a good idea, but I was always thinking about adding like a special one always down here. Kind of like the final one that everyone can take, which would be a fire team leader. As a fire team leader, you just bring extra dudes with you. Your class, your subclass is, I am a sniper, I can bring in extra sniper support, or I can bring in extra, you know, support within my class. I am a guard, I can bring in a Castle 3, for example. I'm a defender, I can bring in the Fiston 3. I can bring in better things overall. Use the other way. I'm just using this wiki right now just to show that like what classes are available. Flyer. If I were to really look over here, I'm going to make a wild guess that it's going to be the exact same shit. Except it's operators. No. Yeah. Caster, Fender, Guard, Medic, Sniper Specialist, Supporter, Vanguard. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that would be the basic ideas that everyone's going to get a everyone would get the fire team leader one by it's by virtue of being a fire team leader, you are going to be able to bring in, instead of 2, you get to bring out 3, or you get to higher quality minion or whatever. Problem is, that's your job now. But yeah, that's kind of the idea when it comes to classes. That should work, technically. Still not 100% sure how I want to do this or ammo. Ammo gets a little bit weird. Because the immediate idea I have for ammunition, because most of the time in the game, is that as long as you are not in combat, you are getting your ammunition back. Or it's something to do to get your ammo back. What I was thinking about doing is you can spend a card to... You could either burn a card to automatically get your ammo back. Burning resources that you need to do other things to just be able to do more. Or you do like a reload action. Like, that is something that you are, instead of doing damage, instead of repositioning, instead of being productive, you are reloading your gun. Not perfect, it's currently in there. That's the way that I'm seeing it, because again, there's a lot of different classes that use a lot of different ways that each individually will handle things slightly different. Like, yeah, reloaded over time if no enemies are available. So like, if you look at Cold Shot here, like Cold Shot's entire thing is that she shoots people around her with a rifle that goes bang. well, a comically oversized crossbow, because that's what everyone uses in Dark Knights. And it's like, okay, that's we can work with this. And we can use the manual skills, and like she would have to, our Cold Shot here, if Cold Shot was a player, for example, she would be having to manage a oh god, she would have to manage her hand very precisely, because she has to be burning her hand to activate her abilities just as much as auto reloading something a lot more quickly. We don't want to do that. That sucks. That is painful, and it's agony. But that's the cost. But on the other hand, you hit like a freight train, so at 58, you hit a fucking freight. But no lottery bonds. But yeah, that's current idea here. Nothing to... Again, it's one of those things where I'm going to have to like investigate deeper into the backstory lore to figure out more on like all the different possible backgrounds available, and figure out how many variations of 12 we can actually hit here. I'm assuming there's a lot more than I'm kind of doing right now anyway, such as a 0255 or something. But this is just the most basic understanding of like what we're working with. Not perfect, not be all end all. But yeah. Weird. Let's see. Kind of hammered out. It's kind of the skills for Broken Crucible. Mostly because it's funny to me. I kind of worked on this kind of on my own whim more than anything. Everything here should work properly. It's entirely a meme at this point. Will Broken Crucible be made? Probably not. Will it be funny? Yes. All I'm saying is, if Horus changes his fucking resolution mechanic again, we're going to be writing Broken Crucible, and it will be finished, and it will be done, and it will be very, very funny. But we're doing pretty alright in that regard. Nothing too extravagant in that regard. Let's see, do we have anything else fun and exciting to really worry about at this exact moment? No. Oh yes, I did do some work on Palworld. Quite a bit of work actually, mostly when it comes down to the attack and defense stat. Attack and defense got changed. Now, attack and defense got changed for a very good reason. So, let's take for example a Lamb Ball attack 0-0. If we go to 0-0, we're going to select U. We go boop, boop. As we can see very clearly, the Lamb Ball, I said the Lamb Ball, would have at level 25 50 attack. What does this actually mean? This means that Lamb Ball would have 5d10 damage whenever they attacked. It's kind of a way to... Effectively, every interval of 10 you have, you end up with 1d10 worth of damage, effectively. So, for example, if I have, say, attack of 15, I would roll, and I hit you, I deal 1d10 damage. Doesn't seem like a lot, and it's really not, but when you have HP of about 10, yeah, it does feel like a lot. If we do this, though, if we go right here... However, the Lamb Ball would also have a much higher defense. And all defense does is whatever the value there is minus whatever your attack is. So if you have a defense of 10, they have an attack of 20, they would only roll 1d10. However, in Lamb Ball's case, if Lamb Ball attacks itself at level 25, it actually would only do d5 damage. It would do bare minimum because it's negative. I would do bare minimum damage. Bushi, on the other hand, if we go over here to the if we plug in what the Bushi would look like, but Bushi would have 130 attack power, which doesn't seem like a lot, mostly, but at the end of the day, that's still doing way more damage than you would think. It would still be doing 60-10. Actually, no, do about 5d10 damage to poor little Lamball here, who would get smacked and die immediately. And Lamball would do very little damage because it would be a sub and a major, so we take sub. It would have at level 25. It would have at level 25, 100. So it would actually do 0 damage. It would do d5 damage to them by virtue of you slamming face first into it. That's kind of the idea when it comes to the actual math here. It should work pretty well. If we kind of look here with the Woolly Pop, non-zero. Dun dun dun. We go over here. Non-zero. Woolly Pop here doesn't actually have very high stats to begin with. They're not doing too well. Defense is sub-zero. So if we look over to sub, select everything here. Put you here. And there we go. Oh. There we are. That should be a good way of understanding of how attacks and such work, which leads into PAL moves. These are not very... The math in my head works. Everything else doesn't. That's where things start getting complicated and unfun. Effectively, the basic idea is the range is when you're acting. If it's far, you're acting last. If it's close, you're acting... Let's say, as an example, like burst, for example. Put a burst here. Now, burst is close range. We know that it is close range. It is going to act first. Its power is low. So let's do something like a fire burst or something. No, it's close. We know its power is, let's say, like is like 20. Actually, let's say its power is like 10. We know it's an AoE though. So, effectively, what would occur is I take my PAL, I take whatever my attack power is, let's say my attack is 50, I add whatever the power of the move is. So we'd go up to 60. I compare it, oh hey, you've got 30, you have 30 defense, I would do 3d10, and then multiply that value by the pain value. There are some abilities, such as, you know, Tornado and Machine Gun, which have really high pain, but really low power, which is effectively, if you are weaker than me, these things are going to kill you instantaneously. If you are stronger than me, I'm going to do very little damage. D5 times 3 is max 15 damage. On the other hand, 3d10 times 3 is pretty fucking good. That could be an instant kill. And that's kind of the point, where it's like, even having things like negative power abilities should be possible, which is like, yeah, my attack is 70, but I have a move that does negative 20, but the pain's time 5. So if I manage to, let's say, do like 2d10 damage, even 2d10 times 5 is a lot of fucking damage. You roll 10, you've done 50 damage. It's like you can really, that's the entire point, even when it comes down to something like an execution move, where that's the entire point. Hello, FKA Sailor. Hello, hello. Ow. We're just talking games. Talking games and talking shop. Because generally speaking, I can do that because this is my channel. I can do whatever the hell I feel like on it. This is the beautiful thing. is about being me is I can do whatever the hell I feel like. It's truly an amazing feeling. But yeah, that's kind of the current state of affairs. Like, generally speaking, the Arknights game is, we're feeling good. I'm feeling good about the Arknights game. I legitimately just need to study up on Arknights. When I say I need to study Arknights, I am not lying. It is something I just need to sit down and watch a 7-hour YouTuber essay on it. On the other hand, like, Broken Crucible is kind of more of a loaded gun. Yeah, to give you an idea, Broken Crucible is a loaded gun I have aimed at Horus. There's nothing more sophisticated than that. And it's very funny. If he does change his mechanic, I pull the trigger and I just write Broken Crucible in probably like a weekend. Because it just isn't that much to really muse about. Let's see. Do we have anything else fun and exciting to really think about tonight? No. Not really. See, this is the fun thing about not really having a plan for these streams, that sometimes I go into them completely blind. Though I did learn something the other day, and it was something we're doing tomorrow is going to be our itch.io dumpster diving. I've got a handful of games on itch.io. We're going to talk about them because they're very fascinating games to muse about, and musing about interesting games is what I do best. I was going over one. I was like, alright, you know, it's you know, I'm going over one. And it was on Gilla Game. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Gilla RPG. He did, like, there was an article effectively that came out about Mr. Gilla here of like, I'm burnt out and I don't want to, yeah, like, yeah, he's apparently Gilla RPG is now out of the running. Gilla RPG is gone. Now, mind you, he's not done, actually. He's started about 1 billion games and wanted to do everything there and get all the funding and stuff, but he is effectively, he's done. He got burnt out. And I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, damn. On the other hand, I'm like, hell yeah. Fucking Gilla. People wonder, like, why don't I like Gilla much? Gilla had that weird thing where I'm like, I just don't much care for. I didn't care for the way he acted during the frame situation. It's just like, I don't know why you are so. I don't know why you are so surprised that you've taken something that is so legally distinct, that's barely legally distinct, and why you're acting like a shithead and blaming the quote of the gamers. Almost like, oh, you're just an asshole. And yeah, and every game I read was the exact same from him. I'm just like, oh, no. And so I'm not like, oh no, it's a it's a tragedy, we've lost someone. It's more like, yeah, you burnt yourself out because you're a dumbass. He's beyond that, though. He might develop brain paralysis in a few years, though. Damn, that sucks. Again, my opinion of the man never really changed. And it's like, you know what? Cool, it's done. I don't have to think about you again, and I'm good, and I'm happy for that. He's out of the race, but a lot of people have lost. It's weird, actually. I've noticed that in 2024, a lot of people have left the race, the crab bucket. A lot of people have. Orange Server loudly declared that he'll probably never finish one game. Took me 2 years to finish that, and it's just like, damn. I'm not saying 2024 has been good to me either. So I'll say that 2024 has been fucking rough. And it's, yeah, a lot of people came in and, like, And I wonder why, though, as well. I wonder, I'm genuinely curious why we've lost as many as we have. And there's indie developers, some people, you know, kind of just are out of the game at this point. And some a little bit more than others. It is fascinating to me. And it's not like he's out of the game because he's going to develop brain paralysis or something like that. No. It's just people have just kind of gone away, and we're kind of, there's the few. See, one theory I heard was that it was D&D 2024 is coming on, because 2024 is coming out. A lot of people are like, well, it doesn't really matter whatever I put out, it's dead because D&D 2024 is coming. A lot of people came in as a chance of politicking, then they got old or got the networking thing. Yeah, I can see that. Oop, bashed my mic like an idiot. Yeah, no, it's, I think there's a bit of that. I think it's just a bit of fatigue, and I remember about, God, it would be 3 years ago, 3-4 years ago. I was in a Discord channel. I was in a Discord VC with someone, and this person was so convinced that tabletop games in the next few years are going to explode. They are going to be the new big thing, because all of these video game developers are coming in, and TTRPGs are going to see a renaissance. It's going to be this huge big thing. Everyone's going to be happy. And I think back to that conversation every now and again, and I realize as that person has also dropped out of the rat race. They're gone. And I think back on it, and I wonder, I'm like, huh. Yeah, there's a lot of RPG-themed media. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, has tabletop role-playing, has TTRPG sphere, even the war game sphere, has it really gotten bigger? I don't think so. That's the weird thing. That's the weird thing. Because people cite something like, oh, what about Critical Role and things like that. Like, do you consider Critical Role TTRPG related at this point? It's such a weird thing to think about, but it's like a franchise unto itself at this point. Like, Critical Role exists outside of any of that shit. Dice rolling has nothing to do with it. It's something vaguely related. And it's like, huh, is that weird? That's a weird thing to think about. It's a weird thing to muse about. I was waiting for that huge resurgence. This is it. This is the moment. We're gonna see the big money. Where's the exciting big thing that was gonna save the TRPG scene? And it just didn't happen. It was such a surreal situation. Really, it's weird if you think about it for too long. It's, people hype it up to be as big and amazing and as, you know, horrific as it is, but it's just like, it's kind of like with the thing with the Cosmere RPG. Like the Cosmere RPG currently coming out. This thing is $8.8 million right now. $8 million. I keep wondering, like, are people buying this game because it's Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG, or is it because of the game? And that's kind of a thing. It's hard to get a good pulse on the matter because it's hard to get a good pulse on the matter because it's Brandon Sanderson. Unironically, Brandon Sanderson could put a giant box with a piece of shit on it and put Cosmere, you know, trademark on the logo, and people will buy it. But it's interesting to muse about. I think D&D VTT will be the turning point. If it succeeds, we'll see a trend for some time. If it fails, the pendulum will swing the other way. Really depends, though. There has been a lot of hype on D&D 2024, though. A lot of hype on this one. And a lot of people hyping it. Like, it's making the rounds, finally. And it's in this really weird, funny situation. Like, if the DC 20 guy, if the DC 20 guy makes a video on on, you know, D&D 2024, it's the greatest thing ever, and this is what I love about it. Like, he's, I wouldn't say he invalidated his own game, but it's kind of like DC 20, you know, DC 20 is a secondary product to D&D 2024. And it's in that weird situation where you are in a kind of a snap state, being just like, because he is completely incentivized, you know, dungeon, what's he even called? Dungeon Coach. Dungeon Coach is completely incentivized to make D&D 2024 content. That's the big thing. He is completely incentivized because he's got all this DC 20 stuff, and I respect the guy. He's going whole hog on it. But when that comes out, when D&D 2024 comes out, will he pivot to 2024 content, or will he stick with DC 20? I don't know. And that's kind of an interesting thing. Well, you know, will Matt Colville, MCDM, will Matt Colville talk about that? Will he talk about 2024, or will he talk about MCDM? Again, it's kind of a weird situation. And will I be talking about 2024? No, I got no reason to. I have zero reason to talk about it. I already made my D&D video, and I think it's a good video of me talking about how D&D is an unapproachable subject, and it's impossible to talk about it. But that's kind of the nature of the beast. That's my that is my meandering thoughts on the matter, and that might just be a fucking gas leak going on. I made pizza tonight in my oven, and my oven is a gas oven for context's sake, and it was making very funny noises when I was setting up. So, hey, I might be feeling great. Who knows? I could be speaking complete nonsense right now, and I wouldn't even know. I don't think I have a gas leak, but hey, it'd be funny. A lot of people joined under Shadow Dark. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to do like, oh, it's Shadow. Well, here's the thing with Shadow Dark too. You have to remember with Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark is now it's now super popular. You want to know why Shadow Dark's super popular? Because it won a fucking award. So everyone is going to be wanting to make Shadow Dark TM content. Everyone wants to make Shadow Dark content because they are completely incentivized to do so. And we've made Shadow Dark content here, right here on this channel. We made the Sodomizer class live on air because it takes 5 minutes to do, and it takes 5 minutes to make a dungeon for Shadow Dark, and it takes 5 minutes to do anything. It's a genius game. Like that's the beautiful thing about Shadow Dark. I do not like Shadow Dark because I find it very boring, because it's just another one. But I will be the first one to say it's not difficult to make shit for Shadow Dark. It's absurdly easy, in fact. Too easy, in fact. And that's the point. And it's like, what's the hype? The hype is that it takes 5 seconds to... Questing Beast Guy recorded them getting an award, congratulating a bunch of famous internet people for working on it, himself included. Yeah, of course. Questing Beast had a financial incentive to see the success of Shadow Dark. All of those guys had a financial incentive to see the success of Shadow Dark. All of them do. Why wouldn't they? Every single one of them have a incentive to see it succeed because they were paid. Because they were paid. Alexandrian, they won an award as well. I think they got like best, like Like, they won an award, be like, you're the greatest, yeah, right here, best online content. Yeah, they won a silver Ennie for that, and it's like, yeah, I can't really blame you. You know all the right people. You know how to play the game. The game rewards you for knowing. That's as simple as that. See, and it's funny too, because people always like, you're just jealous because they're successful and you're not. I'm like, not really. It's just like, oh, this is what is successful. This is what you should do. And if you want to be successful, you write the exact same shit everyone else does, except you hire an artist. You hire an underpaid Argentinian man to do the art. Or, let's be honest with ourselves, it would probably be a Vietnamese guy. Unironically at this point. If I'm going to hire an art, if I would be like, I need to make an OSR game right to this second to make $1 bajillion, I would hire Sang Sister. I would throw Sang like a couple $100, and I would say, hey, Sang Sister, draw the entire book 20 times over because you do all your art on a fucking phone because you're a lunatic and it looks amazing. Yeah, by the way, Sang Sister is an amazing artist. It needs to be from a sanctified business partner country, not a real benefit. Yeah, no, you don't understand though. Is that we could just put they're from a underprivileged C region. That's all we need to do, and it's a female artist. And I give myself a fun pseudonym like Ibrahim or something, and then I'm in the right. I'm a good person. See, you gotta play the game, Wuso. You gotta learn how to play the game, and you have to learn how to be a fucking scumbag to do. God bless him. God bless America. Me oh my oh me oh my oh my oh me. Let's see, what are we working on right now? Do we have anything else to really... People are posting, unfortunately, we have a new Homestuck person in my server. And more Homestuck people is only a bad thing in my book. My continuous harassment of Scribble's game. Art book, the art book approach, and it's shitty. Exactly, it's the thing with art books do make money, and there's a good reason for it. That's the thing. There's a good reason for it, because that's something visual. It's not very visual for a 3D 6+ mod system or something. No, that's not visual. But if that's kind of like the thing one thing I've been like worrying about, like I've been kind of struggling with Cruciform, for example. Like, this is Cruciform. This is my this is the Obsession project. My baby boy here. My good Catholic boy right here. One thing I've been working with Cruciform quite a lot is also, if you want to know why, it's like, why haven't there been any Cruciform streams? It's done. Like, it is legitimately written. Everything is written here that can be written. I can hem and haw about things, but I just need to playtest the thing, and I haven't been able to get anyone to playtest. I wouldn't mind art books if they had an interesting system behind it. Yeah, but it's when it comes to it, it is... There is the... If we were to look at, like, if we kind of use this, it's like, this is the difficulty, and this is the time and money investment. You know, it's kind of like one of those things, like, making an art book is not, generally speaking, going to pay out more than writing a really good rule system. Like, people like me give a shit about this. Most other people care about this. And again, anytime someone's like, well, that's not the point, people care about the system, I will just point to Avatar Legends. I will just point here. Because Avatar Legends is exactly what we talk about a majority of the time. Things like Morkborg, for example. What is Morkborg at the end of the day? It's a D20 system hit roll over 12. That is what the game is. Oh, but no, Pat, Morkborg is actually an evocative role-playing game about the death of the world, and it's not, though. It's a D20 game, roll over 12. It has nothing more to it, it has nothing less to it, and that's what the point is. Because the vast majority of the time, effort, and budget, and what the financial return was going to be the art. That's even going to be kind of the note for tomorrow when we're talking about what is successful on like itch.io for it. Like, one of the notes I have to talk about with itch.io when it comes to physical games is one of the big issues is it doesn't really matter whatever you're doing. All that matters is that this looks right. And why is Lancer the first thing you see all the time? Because Tom Parkinson Morgan, Tom Bloom, formerly Tom Parkinson Morgan, is an extremely talented artist. People may not like his art, but he is an extremely talented artist and he has a very evocative imagery. That's just a thing. And that's just the nature of it. On the other hand, like, why is Kane doing so well? Well, because Kane is also Tom Bloom, formerly Tom Parkinson Morgan, because he took the last name of his wife. Even though, again, it's not massive press, he's publishing under Chasm to, I don't know yet, by the way. Fun fact. Just fun fact of life. I still have no idea what the fuck Chasm is. The best things we've managed to come up with, by the way, of what Chasm actually is a side company made by Tom to avoid having to work with Massive anymore. That he gets 100% of the profits instead of whatever the fuck Massive Press is doing. That is legitimately the only thing we have left, because this is a completely separate publishing company. No one knows. The thing with Kane is, like, this is just how he draws things when he's bored. I should know, because again, I remember, Tom, I remember you on D. Don't think you can hide from me. I remember your fat porn. I remember when I was browsing D looking for my extremely specific niche fetish that I enjoy. I saw your fat porn. I know it was you. I saw all of it. You weight gain fuck. Yeah, fun fact, Tom's in the weight gain. That will forever be the funniest note that I can always, anytime I mention Tom Bloom, formerly Tom Parkinson Morgan, because he took the last name of his wife, is that he is a fat fetishist. Every time it just haunts any video I make of him, it will show up because I am a funny person. And I have exactly one joke. But yeah, it's just like, the thing with like itch.io is that it's all about presentation. It doesn't matter whatever you sell, whatever it is. As long as you look right, people will click on it. As long as it looks correct, people will click on it. Even if it's just something as simple as like Panic in the Dojo. But like, why did Panic at the Dojo do as well as it did? This game came out in 2019, for God's sakes. But someone made a video on it, and because someone made a very popular video about it, and it got a shit ton of traction. Why is Perfect Draw doing as well as this? Oh, I wonder fucking why. Is it because it looks like this? Is it looked like an actual professional game that looks half decent? Yes. Yes, it is. That is the reason. This is not a surprise. This is not a, oh wow, never seen. That's just why it is. Yeah, even it's a lot about perception and a lot about looking correct. And there's like one of the reasons, like one of probably my most popular games is Sidewinder. A lot of people buy Sidewinder for some unholy reason. And it's like, yeah, it's like people buy it because, but at the end of the day, this is what you see when you first started up. This is what you see. You see this. It's like, oh, cool, Project Side, diceless dogfighting action. Big Leo SRTT. Yeah, people don't buy zombies and cigarettes. People occasionally buy saviors. Not gonna lie, but like people don't like buy like Relic Frontier and stuff because it doesn't look as exciting. And is that a bad thing? Maybe. Is that a good thing? Maybe. Who knows? Nobody knows. That's the fascinating part. But yeah, there's a couple things we're working with right now. I think I talked here about the Cruciform Adventure System. Now the Cruciform Adventure System is just the SAS because I really like the Storyteller Adventure System. Let's see. Do we have any? Is there anything fun and exciting to actually do? I do agree that Keynesian economics are real. However, people don't get tired of getting bad games over and over because they don't care about the games. That's the secret, Wuso. The game doesn't matter. The game is a completely secondary entity. That is just there. I go back to my original Morkborg video. Yes, that first video I made, that 2-minute video where I say spooky. And I literally say it, and it kind of solidifies, and I am repeatedly correct in that video, is that it doesn't matter whatever it is. TTRPGs, calling yourself a TTRPG is an aesthetic. That's all that it is. It is no different than anything else. It is an aesthetic choice to say that I am a TTRPG, and now this is the reason why. That's all that it is, and it sucks. Congratulations, our hobby has become an aesthetic. Like how many books can somebody flip and show 2-3 pages of it to their friends before the novelty wears off? Apparently enough. Apparently enough. Like, people will, it's not necessarily about, but it's like, oh, hey, I bought this thing and it's super cool, we should look and play it, and they play it once, but it's not the point of playing it. It's not the point. It never has been the point. It's about buying something new that looks pretty and saying, well, I'm supporting an artist, and I'm supporting this, and I like looking at it, and I'm being, it's a drug of my imagination. That was one line from Cyborg, I remember. It's a drug of it's a drug for my imagination. I'm just like, that's not like a positive thing like that. You realize that, right? But that's kind of the idea. It doesn't matter if it's, never mattered. They show it to their friends, they show it to the internet friends, and they can loudly declare that, well, I'm one of the indie people. I support indie developers. I buy this book here. Look how pretty it is. And they feel better about themselves. Oh shit. That's the nature of it. Shame, but it is what it is. Actually, that reminds me what I should do. Maybe RPGs are just for crazy people. I think that every day. Let's see. We won't put you. Oh, here's what we should do. So you are good. You are done. I don't need to think about you. We need to fix you up. We need to all up. Because yeah, we are currently in the playtesting phase. Luckily speaking, this is the. We are actually in a very good state of being when it comes to the Cruciform at the end of the day, because September, I am going to be free perfectly on the weekends, if things go according to plan, of course. I am going to be free. And what does that mean? That means that I am going to call the fucking, call the horns and all that shit. Call for aid and all that bullshit. We're all crazy here, right, Alice? Exactly. It's like I tell people occasionally when they enter my server, being like, you wouldn't be here if you weren't a little odd. And that's the case. You wouldn't be here if you, like, in this very specific niche corner. And that's, I think, just the nature of it. That's just our sins and our problems. Oh yeah, we hit 3.6. Nice. At least channel's doing well. and people continuously ask me, like, why don't you do more, like, cool, fun, like, why don't you do games you don't talk about, because people don't even talk about them. Yeah, no, it's like, a couple of videos have done well. A couple of the videos have done well. Nothing has really, like, shot forward. Looks like Red Market's hit 2K. Break's gonna hit 3K, which, by the way, when Break hits 3K, I officially get to laugh at Cloudbreaker, because I'm actually positive about Cloudbreaker Alliance. I think it's a pretty decent game. And I think it does have some issues. Yeah, I'll be the first one to say it's got some issues, but I think those are issues you can pretty easily work out. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's not bad. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be interesting. But then you get games like fucking Break. And I was actually very surprised about Break. The number of people who were actually very supportive of it, of what my opinion on it, because I was expecting to get mogged for this. Like like I was actually very surprised, Break. I was expecting that to hit like 70% ease. I was waiting for it, and it just didn't. Where's the one? No. But yeah, no, it's like, it's just, is the being, is the nature. Oh, what a day, what a beautiful day. Is the art what's uninteresting this time? Well, the thing, like, I actually like the way Cloudbreaker looks. I like the way Cloudbreaker looks. I like the way it plays. The thing with Break, I didn't like the way Break presented itself, because I have zero nostalgia for that. And that's what it's banking itself on, is that nostalgia for that particular thing, but a particular memory of a particular time that I don't know or care that much about. I was never a Zelda kid. I'll say it right here. I don't like Zelda. I played like 2 of them and I'm like, not a game for me. No, I never liked Zelda. Never liked any of that. I have no nostalgia for any of that. One of my favorite games growing up as a kid was Rogue Trooper. Yeah, baby, Rogue fucking Trooper. Remember that game, everyone? Shit was cash. And, like, if you have nostalgia for that very particular time, even, like, again, it's like dubbed anime openings and things like that, it's like, cool, but, like, I don't really. And, like, the art was a huge turnoff for me. I'm a little exaggerated, of course, in the video. I always exaggerate a little bit in the videos, you have to. But, like, the art really turned me off of that one. So I'm like, okay, so I don't like the way this game looks. And even if you just break it down the way it plays, it's just roll a d20. And it's like, oh, well, you might succeed if you roll under your stats. But everything's really rigid in your stats, too. So you're like, oh, God. Anyway, it was just a mixture of mediocre ideas that did not vibe with me as much as I was hoping. But I guess people also really hate my opinion on fucking Fabula Ultima, even though they all know I'm right. Mm. Mm. Belmont mode. Mm. Mm. Da, 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 da. We love Belmont mode. So these aren't the official names for these, by the way. Mm. 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 Yo, Father Maxwell mode. What was the other one? Mm. 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 What was the other one I had? It was the unnamed assassin variant because we were going to use the Hashashin. Fate's Day Holy War mode. It's effectively, I was thinking of like various ways of like various things we could do because every single one of the effectively for Cruciform, the idea was that every single variant adds more stuff to interact with. Belmont mode introduced cursed artifacts and playable witches. Why? Because you are a Belmont. That's the entire point. I wouldn't call it Belmont, but it's like you are a cursed family with a bunch of cursed artifacts. You're really trained to fight very specific weird ass creatures. On the other hand, you also have the idea of you are constantly needing to replace certain members of your family. Because as a human, you're getting older and you're going to die. So it's like, you have an heir now. So it's like, you have an heir now. What does the heir look like? You have this now. What does this look like? And you're constantly needing to kind of like cycle out characters as you progress through the game. So you can do a little bit longer one with the idea that if you cycle out a character being like, okay, I'm going to retire this character to the estate, they're on the estate now, and you get to kind of have like a roguelite, quote-unquote, mode. Shining Shrine Maiden was going to be a lot lighter. It was effectively going to be, how do we make a toot-toot in the game? As that's what it would be. It would be a toot-toot variant. Because I think toot-toot would be a very funny way of like, yeah, you're the anime Catholic Church. Nope, you're actually just playing toot-toot characters effectively. The unnamed assassin variant would just be like, how do we add in, let's take the concepts of Cruciform and really change some aspects up. Mostly when it comes to the idea of like, let's get rid of miracles because we don't have to worry about miracles anymore. Let's instead replace it with a bunch of, how do we make this different? How do we employ the tools of the world to kick the shit out of a demonic entity? Father Maxwell mode would literally be, hey, you are Father Maxwell. Congratulations, you are Father Maxwell, and you are descending into hell to kill Satan. You've done this before, you'll do it again. You are stuck in an endless purgatory trying to kill Satan. It would just be the solo mode variant. With the rules being like, but notepad, Dracula's curse turns the father into Dracula every generation. You see the problem. That'd be kind of the idea with like the idea of Father Maxwell mode, is that Father Maxwell is just kind of the generic way, like here's how you actually play a solo mode variant, as Father Maxwell doing your own thing to kill your way through hell. Problem being, if you die, you just reset, because Father Maxwell can never have a nice thing in his life. But yeah, no, it's kind of, you can see kind of the idea. Each of them kind of add their own specific variant. People were like, you should add a South America mode. And I was just like, how the fuck do I add a South America mode to this? Like, South America mode would just be Cruciform, except we go Super Saiyan once in a while. My favorite part of Cruciform is when we play Dragon Ball Z in it. Yeah, nuanced character writing. Fuck that, check this out. But yeah, that's kind of those ideas. Again, we're making decent time when it comes to our our base timeline of when we want things to happen and when we want things to be done. It just takes time. SRD Nightmare Hours we haven't really touched SRD Nightmare Hours in a while. I want to get the Pal World game done. The Pal World game has the problem right now. I'm kind of stalling on, to give you an I'm stalling on the Pal World game legitimately because I realize that it's just like, I have got the math, I've got the ideas. I need to sit down and effectively write out a shit ton of stats and numbers and like, it would legitimately be Notepad add-on sits down and writes out 100 different variants of just monster stats, and that will be maybe one day at the end of the month or something, we'll just sit down and just say, fuck it, let's do it, and we just write. And we enter a fugue state, and we just double down. That's kind of the situation there. It's just like, it's just something we need to sit down and do, because it has drifted, I will say it has drifted further and further away from the it has drifted further and further away from the core idea of Nautomons, to the point where I struggle to refer to it as a Nautomons game. That's kind of one of the funnier aspects of it. It's kind of a tough sell to refer to it as Nautomons at this point, just because so many. I didn't realize how many things would actually need to be changed, and they're not difficult things to change. That's, I think, is the funniest part. They're not difficult things to change. There's just a lot of things to change. And it's like, even when it comes to like, here's how the battle zone works, here's all this, do we really need do we really need the actions here, do we really need to put this up here, do we need to put it over here, we need to put this here, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's like, you sit down and you're like, fuck, okay, like, let's write out 800 weapons, let's write out all the different types of armor. That's what it really boils down to. Because, generally speaking, pals are a lot less complicated than Nautomon. This is Black Ops with monsters. But Wusa, we already have Black Ops with monsters. We've got like 3 of them at this point. There's been a couple other things that I've been debating. Because while goofing around with good old-fashioned while goofing around making fun of Broken Crucible, I I was reading back up on Theomashi. There's a few games that I actually would want to go back through and just, mostly when it comes to the commission projects, like go back through and rip out all of the admittedly stolen artwork and replace it with better artwork. Some of them are a little bit easier said than done. You know, good old Bronislaw here. Bronislaw is, weirdly enough, Bronislaw looks fine. We'd probably have to replace certain aspects of him. But like, it's just like, how do we change certain things? But I was like, huh, this game actually works pretty well. Unfortunately, this is effectively what Broken Crucible is. Like, and unfortunately for me as well, guess what? We'd have to throw in the Fortissimo fucking system again. Because the Fortissimo system works extremely well. I probably wouldn't throw in the Fortissimo system, but the idea is there when I was looking through it again. I'm like, God damn it, not again. Why does this keep happening? It's, yeah, mostly, like, you've got all the inheritance, like that. Mostly are... Yeah, no, probably just replace some of the artwork in some of these games. Like, I started doing it somewhat with ZDT, but ZDT needs like a really like specific way I want this game to look, and I just need to sit down and do it. I think I have the way I want it to look. It's just finding all the right things for it. We still technically need we still technically need to finish Dungeon Delvers. We will finish Dungeon Delvers eventually. We've got everything here, though. We've managed to get all of Dungeon Delvers done. We just need to write out 8 bajillion different pieces of equipment, and 8 bajillion different pieces of utility equipment, and 8 bajillion ways to advance, and 8 bajillion... Yeah, Dungeon Delvers is another one that's just like, it's just an endurance match. Like, that's kind of the problem with Dungeon Tactics. It's like, it is an endurance match. Let's see, and I believe in Towards the Dawn, this was the first one I really started using Magic Internet Machine artwork with. I'll probably replace some of it because I just know what the fuck I'm doing. Actually, no. That is just a ghoul from Fallout. I think I was using a combination of Magic Internet Machine and non-Magic Internet Machine. Oh, no, I'm still using Stable Diffusion. Yeah. A lot of this is Stable Diffusion stuff. This is like the weird hybrid that I was doing. I should fix this up. But, let's see. We've got... Clip's Judgment needs some new art. Yeah, there's a lot of things that need fixing. These are written motorcycle journals. Yeah, no, again, you're kind of seeing... Because I like the idea that every single one of these games has a centralized point you go back to for Cruciform. Every single game is we are fighting to do something. It's the family. It's the parish, the shrine. It's, you know, our base or something. It's always like this constantly advancing thing. So just saying fuck it and ripping like a caravan out could be interesting. Or just like, here's, welcome to Cruciform 2020, 19XX, where we just throw in a bunch of weird shit. Like, yeah, here's just a massive stuff expansion. You want to put cybernetics in? Yeah, fuck it. Hey, you want to do that? Yeah, fuck it. Hey, you want to do that? Yeah, fuck it. Just a lot of, we can do whatever the hell we want. But, yeah, nothing too exciting to talk about today. We, just wanted to update some people. This is more of an obligation stream, as usual. Let's see, tomorrow we're doing the itch.io thing. Yeah, tomorrow we're doing itch.io. Now, I've actually run into a unique premise, and I've got some people here, and I want all of your opinions on things, because you're now stuck here. So, we've got, if I open this up, this is Perfect Draw, a card game anime role-playing game. Okay, alright, easy enough to understand. We also have Dawn, the RPG, the battle manga tabletop game. Is this by the same people? No. Now, this is an interesting thing. Both of them can roughly fit into the itch.io case. Both of them have a comfortable fit in there. However, both of them also qualify for the Waname case, for a second Waname case. Both of them would qualify for it. So I've been kind of debating which one would. Part of me wants to move one of them to the Waname case, and move the other and keep the other in the itch case. Like, that's kind of the thing. Like that's kind of one of those things. Like, both of them fit that case well, but both of them kind of do their own thing with it as well. So it's like, All right. They're both very wanime. That's kind of the idea. Like, but like one of them feels like it. Like, I want to do one for the itch case, and then we can move the other to it. Both of them have pros and cons, and putting in both. Because like the idea for Perfect Draw is that Perfect Draw is very specific. Like, it's not just, it's a shonen game or whatever. It's a very much a battle shonen card game. On the other hand, it is probably the better looking and better put together of them. So it's like, that, okay, that's a little bit better. On the other hand, the other one's like very just generic shonen bullshit. On the other hand, it is generic shonen bullshit, but it also is not as done, which is one of the things I'm talking about tomorrow when it comes to itch.io. Both of them kind of have a back and forth. I will decide probably tonight. Dawn for the itch, because Joe is one particular kind of zoomer. Oh, he's a zoomer. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Alright. That's not a bad idea. Okay, I'm going to call it there. Thank you all for watching. Godspeed, good luck. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, you know where to reach me, you know how to do all that. I am, as they say, away.